Colorado Republican Representative Don Coram did something we hardly ever see out of Republicans. He co-sponsored a bill to expand access to affordable IUDs among low-income women. Now, I'll get to why he did that in a minute. But first of all, understand that he knows full well that this makes his party mad at him. In fact, he said, quote, "Oh, they're going to have a hemorrhage, to put it mildly." Now, there's a program already in place that does this in Colorado, but the program is about to run out of funding. Quote, "Since 2009, the program has handed out an estimated 30,000 IUDs and implants, and it's seen serious results. Making that type of birth control more affordable in Colorado has contributed to a staggering 40% drop in teen births over the past 5 years. So it is a wildly successful program. So here we have Don Coram's reasoning. He did this because he's pro-life and because he's a deficit hawk. He said, quote, "If we can do this, make lives better for these young people, save the state of Colorado millions of dollars, and prevent abortions, tell me what's wrong with that. If you are against abortions and you are a fiscal conservative, you better take a long, hard look at this bill because that accomplishes both of those." All right, I now love this guy. Here we have a rare Republican that looked at the data. And he was like, oh, wait. If I want my goals as a conservative reached, well, would you look at that? All I need to do is go along with the liberal policies. This is a point that we've been making ad nauseum, and nobody on the right is listening. I even told you about a great article that my brother-in-law showed to me a while back. I forget what publication it was in. It might have been Slate, where somebody who was a strong pro-life advocate to the point where they went to protests and they cared deeply about it and they went to conferences about it. That person transitioned to being pro-choice. Now, why did they do that? Because they came to realize that every single policy the progressives were advocating for helps them reach their goals. So if you do contraception programs and family planning clinics and sex education and condoms and you have all these things set up in their government programs and they're effective and they're widespread, what ends up happening is you have less unwanted teen pregnancy, you have less STD transfers, you have a much lower abortion rate. Why? Because you nip the problem in the bud. When people are having safe sex, they're not going to have unwanted babies, they're not going to have abortions, and they're not going to have STD transfers. So all of the progressive policy proposals would end up reaching the conservative goals. And here we have a Republican, Don Coram, who goes, oh yeah, wait a second. It turns out that it doesn't make any sense to hold the contradictory position of I'm against birth control, but also against abortions. So in other words, you're for rewiring human nature, which you can't do. See, that's the thing. A lot of these Kool-Aid drinking right-wingers, every one of their beliefs that they truly hold, that isn't just for corporate money, they believe it as a matter of principle, and they believe it like it's an axiom, like it's inflexible, you can't ever take it away, no matter what evidence you show me, this is what I believe, and that's the end of the conversation. But the problem with that is then you have contradicting values sometimes. So you can be, I'm totally against condoms and the pill and IUDs. I'm against that, I'm against that, I'm against that, period, no more conversation. I'm also against abortion. Okay, but wait, sit down, shut up, open your mind, listen real quick. If you advocate for IUDs and condoms and birth control, you will achieve the goal of having much fewer abortions. Wait, you win on that one, you'd win on that one. But instead, they'd rather be against the IUDs and the birth control and the condoms and be against abortions and have both of those things exist anyway. It doesn't make any sense. So here you have a Republican that comes along and goes, okay, wait, no, I saw the data, I saw the information. It turns out to get what I want, I just need to do some of the progressive policies. Exactly. You know, it's the same thing if you believe in private sector job creation, for example. Republicans claim to believe in private sector job creation, but they don't pay any attention to the fact that democratic policies lead to better private sector job creation. If you have an economy that has universal health care and universal education, and every once in a while when there's a slump you do some stimulus spending, you have a more prosperous and a more prosperous capitalist system, a more prosperous free market system, and it grows more. So again, to reach your goals, listen to us. We know what we're doing. The other people don't.